Alright, everyone. While Tyler was looking at some hyena tracks this morning, I believe, and Jamie gave you excuse me, everyone, and Jamie gave you some updates about the week on the leopards. We were tracking some leopards, and we were very fortunate to find Hosana and Xongile, Karula's two cubs. This is an absolute privilege to see them, because last time I was here, I believe it was around June 2016. I was privileged enough just to have a glimpse of these two cubs, and that was when they were still tiny. We've been watching them this morning, and Hosana has been trying to catch some comb ducks in the river, or well, in the little pan which they are at, and I don't think it's been going very successful for him. So you can see the trying to find the comb duck in the area there. You can see VM's trying to filming. There we go. So you can see that's the little pan which Hosana has been paying close attention to. Right. Now these cubs are also a fairly good age. This is when the mother will sometimes leave them by themselves. They are fairly much capable of looking after themselves. But regarding to hunting, they still need to rely on the mother from time to time. So they need to rely on their mother from time to time, as they still need to develop some specific hunting skills. It's mainly, you'll find it with the males, they might be a bit impatient sometimes, and that's where they will give themselves away from the animal which they might be stalking. It might be something smaller, something such as a warthog, which I believe Tyler have been talking about this morning, or something like a smaller impala, or even a steenbok or so. It's throughout the years as a leopard grow and learn how to hunt, they also learn those patient skills. It is something that usually develops. Again, see Hosana's grooming himself a little bit there. And believe it or not, leopards have got a really rough tongue. And this basically not only helps to groom themselves and get rid of all of the ectoparasites or from the loose fur, but it also, when they are feeding, it also helps to loosen the skin from bones. So that rough skin is actually on the tongue, is actually enough to lick the flesh or the skin off a human's finger. Can you believe it? Oh, wow. So look at the two over there.
Yeah, I see that in the south of the park right there.
This is an absolute privilege to see them. I'd like to try and hear from you viewers. I know a lot of you have been watching Wild Earth for quite a long time, or Safari Live. Can you tell me how old Hosana and Xongile is at the moment? I can't quite remember. Right, so Hosana and Xongile, I think, are a bit more interested in the comb ducks. They would definitely try the opportunity, as they are still young cubs, and they still learning in what is the appropriate food for them to hunt. But they will probably, once they get an opportunity to hunt these comb ducks, they will. But also, these comb ducks are clever enough to stay in the water. You know, leopards aren't very keen on water. However, I have seen them hunting in water and in rivers before. But that is usually a very, very rare sighting, which one will find. Also, with a comb duck, there's quite a lot of feathers, which these cubs will be capable of pulling out. But then it's also a difficulty that if they do swallow some of those feathers, that they might suffocate. It might be a little bit tricky to swallow. You can see it seems like they've lost interest in the comb ducks. Miss Sky, thank you very much for letting me know about the ages of Hosana and Xongile. Apparently they are 17 months old. Now that is usually... Sorry guys, my apologies. 13 months, which is 1 year and 1 month old. Now, it's usually in general that the mother will leave her cubs by the age of 18 months and they will be completely by themselves. But it also depends from one situation to the other. Sometimes females might leave a little bit earlier than usual, and the male will usually tend to stick around a little bit longer with the mom, so it's like mommy's little boy. But in this case also, as soon as the time comes when the cubs need to leave the mother, it is also time for the young male. So Hosana might have a little bit of difficulty, as I know the density of leopards in this area is fairly high. So it might be a bit tough for him to first off find a territory which he can defend, and it would usually not be close to the area from where he was born or raised. As for Xongile, Karula might even give up her specific territory for her. It is a usual behavior amongst leopards for the mother of a female cub to either share her territory or give that territory over to her. Karula will then probably move off towards another area, or for time and being, Karula will then also just for the first time and while share the territory with her younger daughter. Of course, the area here, the leopard's territorial area, can vary anything from 200 square kilometers to 4,000 square kilometers. But it all depends on the habitat in the area which they are living in. In desert areas where food and water supplies are very scarce, territorial areas will be a lot bigger. But in areas where there is plentiful of water as well as plentiful food, as well as good area for them to hide in, their territories would be smaller, as everything is in abundance, water and food. This is just an absolutely beautiful morning. I did not expect this. Tracking was also quite fun this morning in the rain. Made it a little bit more interesting. But this is just absolutely lovely. Yeah, I know. Alright everyone, I think what we will do is we'll link to Jamie just to help us a little bit more with the family trees this morning. That would be quite interesting to see from her side, as she's been here for quite a long time. She knows these leopards a lot better than what I do. So over to Jamie, and we'll see if we can find something else very interesting for you. Alright, so Jamie have been talking about some hyenas, and she's been talking about some family trees of the hyenas as well. Here we're looking at something different, but let's see the relationship between hyena and leopard. Out here in nature, all predators are enemies of each other. The reason for that is because they're always competing for the same food sources, all these predators. However, hyenas are scavengers, and leopard rely a lot more on hunting. When these adult predators come across a different species cubs, a predator species, you will find it that, unfortunately and sadly, that adult predator, let's say, for instance, adult hyena, will kill leopard cubs. And it is just as I explained, it is mainly more for food sources. That adult hyena knows that when these leopard cubs grow up, they might be stealing his food from him or her. Oh, this is just absolutely adorable. This is such a pleasant morning, everybody. Just look at Xongile there, sharpening her nails a little bit, playing. I think the flies are agitating her a little bit there. It's just too sweet. Another thing with leopards is they also have really, really sharp claws, but it is retractable. So generally, in their tracks, you won't be able to see the claws which are present. But in very thick soils or even in mud, there might be a slight marking of the nails which indent it. But you can see what Xongile is doing here also, is cats need to keep their nails clean and healthy. So by scratching on the tree, that usually helps to get rid of the debris from under the nails. And also there are specific glands between these toes which they can also usually use to mark the territory with. However, these cubs are not territorial yet, so that's not the specific person, the reason what Xongile is doing there at the moment. Meg, do I have a favorite leopard sighting from my past? Yes, I do. Sorry, I haven't even introduced myself properly earlier, but I've also spent quite a fair amount in the bush. I've been a safari guide for about 8 years. And I think one of my most memorial 2 sightings of leopards was one day, also it was a female leopard on a concession where I work, and she's my absolute favorite on that specific property. And we came across her where she hunted a warthog. And while we approached the sighting, this female was busy feeding on the warthog. And it also started getting a little bit darker. So obviously one privilege which leopards have got is they can usually hoist their kills up in trees, and that is the reason to get it away from other predators. So this specific female leopard started realizing that it was getting darker, and she dragged the warthog up a tree right in front of our vehicle, and it was just an absolutely phenomenal sight to see how strong these cats really are. It's just the massive power that they use to hoist these animals up just with their mouths and their body strength alone. And then also another leopard sighting, which I think at the time I didn't enjoy that much. But we were tracking the same female leopard that I was just talking about, who was hoisting the warthog up a tree. And I was busy tracking her, and these tracks went down into a dry drainage line. And I was struggling to see the tracks a little bit. As the terrain changed, and there was quite a lot of pebbles, so there weren't any sand left to indicate where the tracks were going. And as I was focused and looked at these tracks, the next moment I heard a growl, And this specific female leopard was sleeping under a bush not too far away from me. And I'm not too sure who gave who the biggest fright, but she realized that I was a bit too close for comfort, and I realized I was a bit too close for comfort. But luckily in that situation, we both decided to part our separate ways swiftly. Yeah, that was quite a close-up experience which I've had, which I will also never forget, and it's also learned me a dear lesson of always, but always, being aware of your surroundings when out here in the African bush. Albert, how often do leopards drag their kills up a tree? It would usually depend on the density of other predatory species also in the area. Sometimes you'll find it that leopards are also very lazy and they just can't be bothered to pull it up. But in these instances or cases, you'll usually find it that it was a small female leopard that might have killed the impala ram, and the body of this animal, the weight of the carcass, might just be a bit too heavy for that specific leopard to hoist it up a tree. But generally, I'd probably say that it is a 60 to 70% here in the Sabi Sand area, where the leopards will hoist the kills up a tree. It might be even a little bit more. I don't know of this specific area, but from the area which I guide in and which I know, it's usually a 60 to a 40%. Also, the density of other predators and scavengers are not as high as in this area. And also even in this region, here with Wild Earth. Oh, she's climbing there. Let's see. She's working on her climbing skills for one day when she needs those skills to hoist a kill up a tree. Oh, this is just absolutely wonderful, everybody. But sorry, let me get back to how often these leopards will then hoist up their kills. But I've pretty much explained most of what I wanted. And you'll also sometimes even find it that a leopard would just drag its kill under a very, very dense bush. And the reason for that is also usually when vultures start flying around on a clear open sky, sunny day, you'll find it that these vultures flying in the air might be a giveaway to other predators or scavengers of where there might be a potential kill. And this might sometimes, with these vultures that have located the carcass sighting with this leopard, that might then lead to other predators or scavengers arriving at the scene. And usually in some of those situations, you'll find that it might be an unexpected approach, where the leopards don't always have the time then to hoist their kill up a tree to safety or get it away from this other scavenger. As leopards are a lot smaller. All right. Well, everybody, it's been an absolutely wonderful morning so far. I think we're going to venture through to Taylor. She ventured onto Cheetah Plains, and let's see what she has got for you guys to see this morning.